In the endless dark of space, the galaxy was calm, but that calm felt strange, like the silence before thunder. Alien fleets drifted along the borders of the Sol system, their ships glowing with blue fire, their captains whispering in pride. To them, Earth was just an old world, quiet, slow, and weak, a planet that had stopped fighting long ago. They believed humanity had grown soft after centuries of peace, but deep under the blue oceans, inside secret mountains, and far beyond the moon, humanity was not sleeping, humanity was preparing. Admiral Reyes stood in the war chamber of Earth Command, staring at the holographic map of the solar system. Thousands of red marks blinked on the edge of the screen, showing the alien fleets gathering. He did not move, his hands behind his back, his voice calm like steel. "They think we are afraid," he said quietly. "Let them keep thinking that." Around him, officers exchanged nervous looks. They had seen those same alien fleets destroy worlds before. But humanity had changed, humanity had learned. Across Mars, drones built silent weapons inside old mining tunnels. On the moons of Jupiter, shipyards glowed like stars, building vessels that no alien had ever seen. And on Earth, deep in the Pacific Trench, a voice from the AI project Nemesis whispered to life. "Defense systems online," it said in a cold tone, awaiting authorization. Admiral Reyes gave a small nod. The first piece of the plan was ready. Out in space, the Galactic Council sent their final message to Earth. Their transmission echoed through every frequency, cold and arrogant. "Humans," it said, "lay down your weapons, surrender your planets, and accept your place among the higher races." The message ended with silence, as if expecting obedience. But Earth did not reply, not with words. Instead, the humans sent a single short signal to every corner of the galaxy. It contained just 5 words, 5 quiet words that carried more weight than any weapon. "This is your final chance." The alien admirals laughed. They called it human arrogance. They believed Earth had no fleets, no allies, no strength left. But as their laughter filled their command decks, their scanners started to flicker. 100 unknown energy readings appeared near Neptune, then vanished. They thought it was a malfunction. They were wrong. In the human command room, Reyes watched the transmission fade. The stars above Earth seemed to burn brighter that night. He turned to his officers and said softly, "Prepare the defense grid. Activate all silent protocols. No more warnings." A low hum filled the room as underground reactors roared to life. From Antarctica to orbit, human satellites changed their formation, locking into battle positions. On the moon, soldiers stood by the windows of Luna Base, staring at the glowing alien ships in the distance. One young lieutenant whispered, "Do you think they'll stop?" The old commander beside him shook his head slowly. "They never stop until someone makes them," he replied. As the alien fleets drew closer, the Earth looked calm. Cities slept, children dreamed, and oceans whispered under the night sky. But under that calm surface, billions of human hearts beat with quiet resolve. For years they had tried peace, they had offered friendship, they had tolerated insults. But now, humanity's patience had run out. Admiral Reyes looked one last time at the stars and said quietly, "When they cross the line, we answer once." The sky outside flickered with lightning as the orbital cannons came online. From the deep sea, steel doors opened, revealing the silent giants hidden beneath. Every weapon hummed in unison like a heartbeat of an entire world. And as dawn broke over Earth, the message was clear across every frequency. To every alien listening among the stars, it was not a threat, but a promise. "Stop your attacks now, or we strike back." And then, the stars went quiet again, waiting for someone to make the next move. The warning from Earth echoed through every communication channel, yet in the grand halls of the Galactic Alliance, it was met with laughter. The Zorith Empire's ambassador slammed his fist on the table, his voice full of pride. "These humans still think they matter," he said. "They are ants pretending to roar." Around the chamber, alien delegates nodded, their jeweled robes shimmering under the light of alien suns. They had forgotten history, forgotten how humanity once turned back an invasion twice its size, forgotten that peace was never weakness, only patience. As the laughter spread, fleets were already moving. Thousands of alien warships lined up beyond Pluto's orbit, their engines burning blue against the dark void. They carried weapons forged in dying stars, ships that had conquered entire systems. And yet, none of them knew that the very space they were entering had already been mapped, marked, and prepared by human minds. On Mars Command, General Liu watched the live feed from orbital sensors. Rows of red dots glimmered on the holographic map, closing in like a storm. Her voice was calm but sharp. "They ignored the warning," she said. "Then we moved to Phase 2. Officers nodded, entering commands into silent consoles that activated hidden platforms and cloaked satellites. From the asteroid belts, massive black ships began to move, invisible to normal scans, their hulls absorbing all light. The aliens kept advancing, unaware. Their commanders mocked Earth's silence, sending public messages of victory before even firing a shot. But on the other side of the void, human intelligence was listening to every word, every laugh, every arrogant tone. Admiral Reyes watched the transmissions in silence, his jaw tight. "They think mercy means fear," he whispered. "Let's teach them what it really means." On the dark side of the moon, the AI Project Nemesis came fully online. Cold blue lights flickered inside the hidden base, rows of machines awakening with deep mechanical growls. "Target acquisition complete," said the AI's voice, awaiting final clearance. Earth Command confirmed in silence, their screens flashing green as human fleets synchronized through encrypted channels. Meanwhile, on an alien command ship, Admiral Kor of the Zorth Empire smiled as his fleet approached Saturn's rings. "Look at them," he said to his officers. "No resistance, no movement. The humans are broken." But then his smile faded when his navigator spoke in a trembling voice. "Sir, multiple unknown signatures detected, positions shifting fast. No, they're surrounding us." Before the alien admiral could reply, a deep pulse swept through the void, a wave of static that cut all communications. The stars outside his window flickered for a moment, and then the human fleet appeared. Thousands of ships shimmered into existence like ghosts, black and silver hulls reflecting Saturn's pale light. No music, no speech, no warning, only silence. Each human ship bore the insignia of the United Earth Defense, glowing faintly in red. The aliens froze, unable to comprehend how the humans had cloaked such a massive armada. In the quiet of that moment, Admiral Reyes's voice echoed across every enemy frequency. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth Command," he said, his tone steady and emotionless. "You crossed the line. Now you will learn why patience was our greatest weapon." Before the alien fleets could respond, the space around them erupted. Human plasma beams cut through shields like paper, railguns thundered with invisible fury. Missiles launched from the dark side of moons, each one guided by AI precision. Alien ships burned, cracked, and vanished into clouds of molten debris. General Liu watched from Mars as the first wave of alien signals disappeared. Her voice was cold. "They were warned," she said. "This is not war. This is education." Around her, young officers stared in awe as Earth's defenses worked like a single living machine. The solar system, once the quiet heart of humanity, had become a fortress, a sleeping giant awakened. By the time the battle reached its second hour, half the alien fleet was gone. The rest tried to retreat, but the wormhole gates they used had already been locked by human codebreakers. They were trapped, lost, and surrounded by the very species they thought powerless. From the command bridge of the human flagship Vigilant Dawn, Admiral Reyes spoke once more. "To all remaining hostiles," he said, his voice carrying across the stars, "humanity asked for peace, not submission. We offered courtesy, not weakness. Now we take back the silence you broke." The transmission ended with a single word that would echo for centuries. "Strike." And in that instant, the galaxy realized what kind of enemy it had awakened. Not monsters, not conquerors, but humans. Calm, relentless, and unstoppable when provoked. Across the galaxy, the echoes of the battle near Saturn spread faster than light. Every transmission, every burst of static carried one undeniable truth. The humans had returned. Worlds that once mocked Earth now listened in silence, their leaders frozen with disbelief. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Alliance did not know what to say. On Earth, The skies above command centers glowed with the reflection of distant fires. Admiral Reyes stood before a wall of holograms showing destroyed fleets and intercepted signals. His officers watched him carefully, waiting for his orders, but Reyes only said quietly. They ignored the message, and now they listened to the consequences. Meanwhile, deep within the Zorith Empire's capital, chaos ruled. Senators shouted over each other, trying to hide their fear behind arrogance. How could the humans hide so much power? One cried. How did we not see it? The Emperor's advisor bowed his head. Because we never looked, we only saw what we wanted. But even then, they refused to surrender. Instead, they ordered new fleets to assemble, calling it revenge, calling it justice. They still did not understand that humanity's warning was not pride, it was restraint. In the far colonies of humanity, children watched the news streams from their schools. They saw the glowing images of burning alien ships, the titles reading, Earth Fights Back. Some cheered, some were silent, and some asked their teachers, will they come again? The teachers had no answers, only tired eyes. They knew that humanity had crossed a line it could never step back from. On Luna Base, Commander Arya watched as cargo ships moved through space, each one carrying supplies, weapons, and hope. She spoke softly into her recorder. If we lose this, there is no Earth left, no home, no peace. Behind her, soldiers prepared for what everyone now called the second wave. No one believed the aliens would stop after one defeat. Everyone knew pride was the most dangerous fuel in the galaxy. In orbit around Mars, General Lu reviewed tactical reports. Every alien signal intercepted showed the same message, retaliation. She frowned, her voice low. So they still haven't learned. Her second officer looked confused. General, we already destroyed half their fleets. Why do they come again? Lu looked at him and said, because they think humanity will stop. They think we still care about mercy. Then she turned back to her console. We'll show them mercy's limit. Far beyond the human systems, in the shattered wreckage of the battle near Saturn, a single alien ship drifted silently. Its hull cracked, engines dead, but one survivor still breathed. He sent a weak transmission to his people, his voice trembling. They did not fight like before, he whispered. They fought like they were tired of asking for peace. Before the message reached home, the ship exploded quietly in the dark, another forgotten memory of arrogance. Meanwhile, back on Earth, civilian channels buzzed with whispers. People in markets, factories, and cities spoke the same words again and again. We warned them, and they didn't listen. Across continents, a quiet unity formed, the kind that no empire could destroy. For the first time since the ancient wars, all of humanity stood under one banner, not of conquest, but survival. In the Galactic Council, a small group of alien diplomats argued for peace. They sent new envoys toward Earth, their ships carrying apologies wrapped in fear. But the humans didn't respond, not yet. They waited, scanning every message, watching every move. They knew better than to trust sudden kindness after betrayal. Admiral Reyes stood by the viewport of the vigilant dawn, watching the curve of Earth below. He could see the blue oceans, the glowing cities, the fragile beauty of his home. He spoke softly, not to his crew but to the stars themselves. You had your chance, he murmured. You could have lived beside us. Then he turned to his officers. Begin Phase 3, no more warnings, only silence. Deep in space, the AI systems aligned their targeting grids. Satellites hummed with renewed power, laser arrays locked onto distant signatures. Every planet, every moon under human command was now part of one defense web. And as the galaxy prepared its revenge, humanity prepared something colder. Not destruction, but demonstration, a reminder carved into history. At midnight Earth time, a single transmission left the solar system. It was calm, emotionless, and final. To all empires, it began. You attacked, we endured, you mocked, we warned. Now you will understand why patience was your last gift. The signal traveled for days, passing through hundreds of worlds. Some called it a threat, some called it prophecy, but to humanity, it was truth. In the quiet that followed, even the stars seemed to listen, because they all knew the message was ignored, and the answer was coming. The night sky over Earth looked peaceful, filled with stars, But under that calm beauty, something vast was moving. From the depths of oceans, ancient steel doors began to open, releasing waves that carried hidden shadows to the surface. From frozen mountains, huge towers rose slowly, their tips glowing with red light. And far below the crust, human supercomputers whispered to life, connecting to each other like nerves of a giant mind. Admiral Reyes stood inside Earth Command's central control ring. The air around him hummed with energy, screens flashing with green codes and red warnings. "Status of the planetary grid," he asked, his voice steady. "Online, Admiral," replied the technician. "Every orbital cannon, every drone swarm, every stealth fleet. Ready." Reyes looked up at the holographic display showing Earth surrounded by layers of defense. For years, humanity had pretended to be weak, but now that illusion was ending. In the Pacific, under a storming sea, the Leviathan platforms awakened, each one the size of a city, built to rise only when the world was in danger. Their metal spines cracked the water surface as massive turrets aligned toward the sky. On Mars, the Ares Forge released new ships, black, triangular vessels known as wraiths, silent and fast. They did not broadcast signals, they did not speak, they simply vanished into the dark. General Liu watched from Mars Command, her eyes fixed on the alien movement reports. "Their second wave is already gathering," she said quietly, "but they'll never reach us." A lieutenant turned toward her, nervous. "Ma'am, are we truly ready for a galactic counterattack?" Liu smiled faintly. "No, we're ready for something worse, to remind them who we are." High above, in lunar orbit, the AI Nemesis received its final command. "Activate Project Dawn," said Reyes through a secure link. The AI's blue core pulsed once, confirmed. It replied, "Launching planetary shield cycle." And in that moment, thousands of satellites shifted position, forming a glowing sphere around Earth. Invisible energy swept through the upper atmosphere, wrapping the planet in a shimmering field of light. It was not just a shield, it was a message, visible to every telescope watching from across the galaxy. The message said one thing: humanity was awake. At the same time, hidden stations inside asteroid belts powered up long-range railguns. Their magnetic barrels glowed white-hot as they loaded hypervelocity slugs aimed at the incoming alien fleets. Deep inside the Arctic ice, a human scientist named Dr. Keller smiled as his monitors lit up. "It's working," he said to himself. "The network is alive." He turned to his assistant. "They thought Earth was sleeping. They never understood. We were dreaming of this day." Meanwhile, on the alien flagship Empyrean, Admiral Kor watched in disbelief. "Report," he shouted. "Why are all our sensors going blind?" His crew panicked, shouting over each other. "Sir, gravitational interference, thousands of signals, too many targets." Kor stared at the main screen, where Earth now glowed faintly blue. "That's impossible," he whispered. "They turned the whole planet into a weapon." Moments later, a wave of energy burst from Earth's orbit, striking his fleet's outer edge. Ships disintegrated without sound, their wrecks burning across the void like falling comets. Back on Earth, citizens looked to the sky, seeing faint lines of fire streak across the night. Many thought it was meteors, but the military knew the truth. It was the first victory. In cities and colonies, humanity held its breath, waiting for what came next. On every screen, the same transmission appeared, a calm voice, the same one that had warned them all. "To all hostile forces, this is Earth Command. The line has been crossed. Stand down or be erased." No arrogance, no rage, only certainty. The Zorith Empire ignored the warning again. They ordered all fleets to charge, to destroy the human homeworld before its defenses stabilized. But they were too late. From behind Neptune, human stealth fleets emerged through micro-wormholes, firing coordinated barrages. Alien ships broke formation, confused and blind, their weapons unable to lock targets. Within minutes, space became a graveyard of glowing debris. In the command room, Reyes turned toward his officers. "Phase 3 complete," he said. "Send the next message." A communication beam stretched across the stars, reaching every world that had once mocked Earth. It carried only 2 words: courtesy over. And as those words spread, silence followed. The galaxy that once laughed at humanity now watched in terror. For the first time, they saw what humanity had been hiding for generations: unity, intelligence, and wrath bound by discipline. The Earth was no longer a planet to be conquered. It was a fortress, a promise, a warning made real. And in that quiet moment, as the last alien cruiser burned against the light of the sun, every soldier, every AI, and every human across the system knew the same truth. The awakening of Earth was complete. And this time, the stars would remember. The calm before the storm was gone. Now the galaxy trembled under the soundless thunder of human vengeance. From the dark edges of the solar system, fleets of silver and black ships surged forward, their engines glowing like the hearts of newborn stars. Each vessel carried the emblem of Earth, a single blue circle crossed by white wings, a symbol not of conquest, but of defense. And yet, to the aliens who had provoked this fury, it looked like judgment. Admiral Reyes stood aboard the flagship Vigilant Dawn, his eyes fixed on the tactical map that covered the stars before him. The Zorith Empire's fleets were scattered, confused, desperate to regroup. He gave no speech, no dramatic orders, only 3 quiet words that would change history forever. Begin the advance. Instantly, the void came alive. Human railguns opened fire, launching metal slugs faster than light, each one burning like a falling sun. Alien ships tried to raise their shields, but the human targeting systems were already inside their networks. They fired blindly into the dark, hitting nothing. Project Nemesis coordinated every move, linking fleets, predicting enemy tactics seconds before they happened. It was no longer a battle. It was a symphony of destruction, and humanity was the composer. On Mars, General Lu watched the feed from the front lines. Her voice steady. Send Wraith Squadron to flank their core ships. We finish this clean. The Wraiths appeared like ghosts, materializing behind enemy formations. They released pulse bombs that silenced entire command vessels in seconds. The aliens screamed into broken comms. They're everywhere. They see everything. Meanwhile, on the outer rim of the Zorith colonies, human fleets made first contact with alien civilians. Instead of annihilation, they transmitted a message. Stand down. You are not our enemy. We target only those who ordered this war. The aliens wept in confusion. They had been told humanity was savage, merciless, but what they saw was something greater: justice. Far away, the Emperor of Zorith watched in disbelief as one report after another arrived. Entire fleets lost, defensive sectors gone, human ships approaching capital orbit. He gripped the arms of his throne, his voice shaking. How could they do this? His advisor whispered. They warned us. But the Emperor did not listen. He screamed for his last weapon to be used. Deep in the Empire's core, a colossal weapon began to charge. The Solar Spear, a beam cannon capable of burning through planets. Its activation rippled through space, detected instantly by human sensors. Reyes turned sharply to his tactical officer. Target acquired. He said, fire before it fires. From the human flagship's underbelly, the Godspear cannon activated, a weapon created for one purpose: to end threats before they began. It fired once, a blinding beam of white light tearing across millions of kilometers. When the flash faded, the alien weapon was gone, vaporized before it could release a single shot. Silence followed, broken only by the soft hum of human systems recalibrating. The alien capital fell quiet. No commands, no fleets, only silence. Admiral Reyes leaned forward, his voice calm. Transmit our message. The communication array glowed, broadcasting to every inhabited world across the known galaxy. To all who hear this, the voice said, slow and measured. Humanity asked for peace. You answered with fire. You were given warning. You were given mercy. Now you understand what happens when patience ends. The message continued. We are not conquerors. We are not monsters. We are the voice you ignored. And now, we restore the balance you broke. Then, the transmission ended, replaced by the symbol of Earth, glowing softly against the stars. Across the galaxy, alien worlds went silent, their leaders canceling attacks, surrendering without being asked. The Zorith Emperor sent a desperate plea. Cease fire. We surrender, please. But his words never reached Earth. Human AI nemesis intercepted the signal, scanned it, and forwarded it to Reyes with one note. Request for mercy detected, awaiting human judgment. Reyes stared at the message for a long time, then finally spoke. Let them live, they must remember. The war was over, but the memory had just begun. The once mighty fleets that challenged Earth now floated as debris in cold space. Every empire watched in silence, knowing what humanity could do. The message was clear, the warning fulfilled, and the wrath delivered. On Earth, the people looked to the sky, seeing streaks of light from returning fleets. Children pointed upward and whispered, "They protected us." Elders nodded, their eyes filled with pride and sorrow. For humanity had shown its strength, but at a price only the wise could understand. In the quiet that followed, Admiral Reyes stood alone in the observation deck. He whispered to himself, "We gave them every chance." Then he turned away, leaving behind the stars that now feared his world. And somewhere in the deep, cold dark, the galaxy began to whisper new legends. About the species that warned once, and never twice. The war ended not with an explosion, but with silence, a silence so deep that it spread across light years. In that silence, the galaxy listened to its own heartbeat, afraid to speak, afraid to move. The stars that had once burned with fire and rage now watched in quiet awe. Humanity had not just fought, they had spoken in a language the galaxy finally understood: consequence. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the vigilant dawn, staring into the endless black. Around him floated the remains of the Zorith armada, drifting like ashes on the wind. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. His voice came low and heavy. "It's over," he said. "No more fleets, no more arrogance." His officers stayed silent, some relieved, some hollow, all changed forever. Back on Earth, the blue planet shone brighter than ever, its skies clear, its people united. Children played in streets under banners of peace, unaware of the fear their species now commanded beyond the stars. Cities rebuilt faster than anyone thought possible, powered by the same technology that had once fueled weapons. But behind the smiles, everyone knew, humanity was no longer innocent. They had defended themselves, yes, but in doing so, they had revealed something unstoppable. In the Galactic Council, seats once filled with laughter were now empty. Those who survived the war refused to look at each other, their pride shattered, their empires broken. Some called for vengeance, others whispered of surrender, but none dared to act. On their monitors, the emblem of Earth remained, not as a flag of domination, but as a warning that could not be erased. Far away, in the ruins of the Zorith capital, a single alien historian recorded his thoughts. They said humans were emotional, he whispered, his claws trembling over the datapad. They were right. Emotion built their fire, emotion built their mercy, and both are deadly. He looked to the dark sky, where faint human patrol ships passed like shadows. They do not conquer, they remember, and they make others remember too. On Mars, General Liu met Admiral Reyes for the first time since the final strike. They stood in the crimson dust, watching the sunrise, its light spilling over human outposts. Liu spoke softly. "The galaxy will fear us now." Reyes nodded slowly. "Then let them fear what they made us become." He turned toward the horizon. "Fear is safer than war." Across colonies and stations, the returning fleets landed, scarred but victorious. Soldiers stepped off their ships to cheers and tears. Some knelt and kissed the ground. Others looked up, still hearing the silence of battle echo in their minds. AI Nemesis transmitted its final war report. All hostiles neutralized, human losses minimal, global unity confirmed. Then it powered down its combat protocols, asking a single question: "Admiral, shall I deactivate?" Reyes answered softly, "No, stay awake. Peace is fragile." The galaxy's trade routes went still, no patrols, no taxes, no blockades. Even the most powerful species refused to enter human space without permission. The phrase, "Earth's border," became sacred, a line no one dared to cross. And yet, beyond the fear, something unexpected began to grow: respect. Alien scholars studied human history, learning how the same species that built weapons also built art, music, and compassion. They began to see that the strength of humanity was not its firepower, but its heart. On Earth, the United Council broadcast a final message to all who listened. We will not seek revenge. We will not expand through blood, but we will never kneel again. The message ended with the same words that began the war. This is your final chance. But this time, the galaxy understood, and no one laughed. In the quiet aftermath, humanity reached for the stars once more, not to conquer, but to rebuild. New alliances formed. Old enemies sent envoys wrapped in humility. The scars of war became reminders, not wounds. And as human children grew under the light of twin suns on distant colonies, they learned stories not of anger, but of endurance. At night, Admiral Reyes walked alone through the observation dome of Earth Command. He looked out at the stars, countless and cold, and said quietly, "If silence is what it takes for peace, then let the galaxy stay quiet." Behind him, the Earth rotated slowly, calm and alive. The war was over, but the silence that followed was louder than any victory song. And somewhere, far beyond human reach, new species whispered to their children about the blue planet that once warned the stars, and kept its promise. Years passed, and the war that once shook the stars faded into memory. The galaxy healed slowly, rebuilding its shattered fleets and broken cities. But even after generations, one truth remained. The silence of Earth still ruled the heavens. No one dared to test the patience of humanity again. At the Galactic Academy, young cadets studied the event known as the Final Warning. Holographic recordings showed the rise of human fleets, the blue glow of Earth's shield, the words that changed history. They watched in awe, trying to understand how a single world had faced empires and survived. Their instructors spoke softly. They fought not for conquest, but for peace, and that is why they won. Among those cadets was a young alien named Saran, curious, bright, and unafraid. He stared at the image of Admiral Reyes projected before him, the calm human who ended a war without mercy. "Did they ever attack again?" he asked, his voice breaking the silence. The instructor shook his head. "No, they never needed to. Once is enough when the galaxy learns fear." But Saran frowned. "Fear fades," he said. "So why did they never come back?" The instructor smiled sadly. "Because they didn't have to, their message never stopped echoing." On the distant world of Helios Prime, a monument stood in the middle of the city square. It was not built by humans, but by the aliens they once fought. A single stone pillar carved with human words. "Mercy is our choice, not your right." Pilgrims from across the stars came to see it, to touch it, to remember. For them, it was not just a warning, it was a lesson. Back on Earth, humanity had changed too. Cities now stretched from oceans to orbit, powered by clean energy drawn from stars. Children studied alien languages in schools, learning the cultures once feared. Humans no longer looked at the stars with anger, but with a quiet sense of responsibility. They knew their strength, and they had no need to prove it again. Admiral Reyes had long retired, living in a quiet valley surrounded by forests and peace. But sometimes, at night, he would sit beneath the open sky, watching the same stars that once burned with war. He spoke to them as if they were old friends. "We did what we had to," he whispered. "We warned them, and we stopped when the message was clear." His granddaughter, a young pilot named Alina, often sat beside him. "Grandfather," she asked one night, "will we ever fight again?" Reyes looked at her and smiled gently. "If we do, it will not be for revenge, it will be to protect what we love." In the years that followed, humans returned to the galaxy, not as warriors, but as explorers. They rebuilt trade, offered aid to struggling worlds, shared medicine and knowledge freely. Some still feared them, but most began to see them for what they truly were, the guardians of balance. The galaxy started calling Earth not the fortress world, but the beacon of resolve. At the same time, stories of the war became myths. Children of alien worlds whispered tales of humans who fought with fire in their hearts and tears in their eyes. They told of ships that appeared like ghosts and vanished without sound, of messages that could shake empires. Some said humanity's technology was powered by ancient gods. Others said their strength came from unity. But the truth was simpler. It came from love, the kind that protects, not destroys. 1 century later, a new galactic council was formed. This time, a human representative sat among them, Ambassador Alina Reyes. Her voice was calm, her tone like her grandfather's. "We remember what fear can do," she said. "So we choose understanding instead." Around the hall, alien leaders nodded, humbled by the words of a species that once silenced galaxies. As the meeting ended, Alina walked out onto the balcony, gazing at the stars. She whispered softly, "Grandfather, your warning became our promise." In that moment, the night sky shimmered as if the universe itself was listening. And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, the silent watchers, ancient and unseen, nodded in respect. The galaxy had learned its greatest lesson, that mercy and strength are not opposites, but reflections of the same soul. And though the fires of war had long faded, the memory of humanity's final warning burned brighter than ever. For in every world, in every language, one phrase had become eternal: "Do not mistake our kindness for weakness." And as dawn rose over Earth once more, painting the ocean's gold, humanity stood tall beneath its light, guardians of peace, keepers of memory, children of both fury and grace. The final warning had ended, but its echo lived forever among the stars.